Now, in Tony Blair's defense, he's always been quite strong about extremism, right? He's always had his extreme commitment to centrist politics. So let's go on to talk about Blair on multiculturalism. And this is from 2005. Yeah. Anyway, so he's always wanted to deport extremists, which is fine, right? In 2005, he was like, look, you know, and they were all complaining at NPR, like, oh my God, his new plan would deport extremists. It's like, okay, that doesn't go far enough, but it's a good start.
But that's the problem, isn't it? It's like, I heard there are some people in Islam who think that men and women are different, and those are the extremists that need to go. And it's like, right, Tony, that's 99.9% of them.
No, actually, he was. This was clearly a response to having brought in millions of Muslims, and stuff starts blowing up.
Sure, but it's that confusion of, oh, it's just like the very small percentage of Muslims who believe this sort of thing. And you've got like Sam Harris even looking at him going, are you mad? That
in 2005, but his tone does change, right? He says this in 2005. What I'm trying to send here is a clear signal out that the rules of the game have changed. We welcome people here who are peaceful and law-abiding, people who want to be British citizens who would share our values and our way of life. But if you come to our country, don't meddle in extremism, because if you meddle in it, you're going to go back again. It's like, I'd love it.
Back again.
Yeah, no, but okay, fine. Like, just instant deport for like anyone who even has a whiff of extremism about them. Like, oh, you went into an Al-Qaeda chat room, gone. You know, you spoke to someone in Afghanistan, gone. You know, like gone. That's Tony Blair's view. And he did deport a lot of people. The Conservatives don't deport anyone now, right? Would be lovely if they took this.
Hey, literally came back from Afghanistan, didn't even get stopped.
Exactly. Like, it's mental.
No one even spoke to me.
And so in 2006, he keeps banging this drum, actually. He says this from a particular speech, right? Quotes, we like our diversity, but how do we react when that difference leads to separation and alienation from the values that define what we hold in common? It's like, okay, Tony, so what you're saying is you want diversity of British people. That's the diversity. Only British people can be allowed to come to Britain, is what Tony Blair is saying there, right? If you don't share our values, which non-British people don't, then you're not allowed here, essentially.
You could argue he's also saying, I want the Anglophiles of the world. And
yes.
It's like, that's great. That's about 10,000 people a year.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry, I would be happy with the Anglophiles of the world.
Yeah.
You know, but like you said, that's virtually no one, because look at the way we're being treated after the death of the Queen. Anyway, integration in this context is not about cultural lifestyle, it's about values. It's like, but Tony, the values underpin the culture and the lifestyle. They do the things they do because of the values they hold. For example, the Taliban make sure that women can't dance in the street and have to wear burqas because of their values, and then it becomes their culture. Tony, what the fuck are you talking about, you absolute moron? Right? But anyway, he carries on. It is about integrating at the point of shared, common, unifying British values, which again rules out 90% of the world. It isn't about what defines us as people, but as citizens, the rights and duties that go along with being a member of our society. The whole point is that multicultural Britain was never supposed to be a celebration of division, but of diversity. Okay, so what you're saying there is that you thought you could have a bunch of foreigners with different values who would all somehow just come over and pledge the Shahada to British values and live peaceably side by side, right? Now, what we're seeing in Leicester at the moment is that didn't happen.
No, but it's even on the face of it, like the simple words. He's like, right, I want everyone to be British, but I want diversity. Right, that doesn't work. And then I want them to celebrate that diversity that doesn't exist, that I'm asking for, because I want them all to be the same British.
I want them all to be the same, but I want them to be diverse. Is that okay? But he says the purpose was to allow people to live harmoniously together despite their difference, as if he's the colonial governor of India. Right? What are you doing, Tony? Right? The purpose, not to make their difference an encouragement to discord. Okay, but it is. That's what they are. That's why we had to partition India. That's why we have to partition everywhere that we decolonized, frankly. Because there was just no option, right? If you come here lawfully, we welcome you. Get back to that. If you are permitted to stay here permanently...
But you've just said even if they come lawfully and they disagree with us, they have to go.
Exactly. If you come and stay here permanently, you become an equal member of our community and become one of us. Then you and all of us who want to can worship God in our own way, take pride in our different cultures after our own fashion. What's that mean?
You become one of us, but you can worship your God in your own way.
But you remain different to us. Respect our distinctive...
I don't know what to do with this.
It's just... gibberish.
This was 2005, was it?
Yeah. Contradictory gibberish in 2006, this was. But yeah, so we respect our different histories according to our own traditions, but do so within a shared space of shared values in which we take no less pride and show no less respect. So, right, but that doesn't work. You want like an imperial set of values that subordinates the particular cultural traditions of each culture, right? The right to be different, the duty to integrate. It's like, how can you be different and integrated into the same culture? That doesn't make any sense. It's openly contradictory. And he's like, this is what being British means, and neither the racist nor extremists should be allowed to destroy it. It's like, okay, Tony. Anyway, he carries on in 2006. He's like, look, adopt our values or stay away. And this is all strong rhetoric. I mean, this is what I would say. If you're going to come to Britain, you aren't putting up a mosque.
But you can see how this
temple.
is such a deeply confused man who is at the same time trying to have the progressive thoughts, but also very slightly notices that, hang on a minute.
All of this ethnic tension is something to do with values. And so,
something to do.
And so
is math related to science? Says Tony Blair.
Yeah. And so we need to integrate them into being British. But he said that the immigrants have a duty to integrate with the mainstream of society. Conform to it or don't come here. We don't want the hate mongers, whatever their race, religion, or creed. It's like, I'm in favor of that rhetoric, right? And he goes further as well. In 2019, he was just like, force them into integrate. We just have to force them.
I'm no longer asking.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly it. We are no longer asking because it's causing the rise of the far right. It's okay. Okay.
I was fine with all the killing each other.
Yeah.
What I wasn't fine with.
But now the voters are angry with me.
Jesus Christ. I love that there's such like an American meme though. It's just like black on black crime, don't care about it. But it's getting into the white neighborhoods, need to do something.
Yep.
It's just like, it's starting to radicalize the rest of the country. Like,
that is 100% his position, right? This is why it's not based Tony Blair. This is self-interested Tony Blair. This whole thing is self-interest, where he's just like, yeah, I screwed up and people aren't going to vote for us. The Labour Party is going to die, right? But he said that successive governments had failed to find the right balance between diversity and integration, as in they hadn't. They brought the diversity and everyone's like, oh, you can't insult them or anything. There's hate crime laws that someone brought in, Tony, to make sure you can't insult the Prophet Muhammad or insult whatever.
The process of integration was criminalized. And you're like, we didn't find the right balance.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you made one and then just criminalized the other. What did you think the balance was out of that?
Well, he says that the concept of multiculturalism has been misused in a way to justify a refusal to integrate. Over a significant period of time, including when we were last in government...
It's been misused. I did criminalize criticizing it, but...
Politics has failed to find the right balance between diversity and integration. On the one hand, failures around integration have led to attacks on diversity and are partly responsible for a reaction against migration. On the other, the word multiculturalism has been misinterpreted as meaning a justified refusal to integrate when it should never have meant that. So, well, what should it have meant?
What did you think?
Yeah.
We're going to rub the right's nose into diversity, but also they're going to integrate. How?
It's so obviously nonsense, and it was so obviously never going to work. But they were very idealistic. They were very, very idealistic is all I'm taking from this. And evil, right? He says, particularly now when there's increasing evidence of far-right bigotry on the rise, fantastic, finally, it's important to establish the correct social contract around the rights and duties of citizens. He thinks he's in France. That's what that is. We are not a social contract society. We do not have the rights and duties of man, of the citizen and man and citizen, I think it is, which is literally the French document, right? We'll go through it at some point, right?
Yeah, you ever read the line on freedom of speech? So,
I probably have.
Every citizen has freedom of speech, provided it doesn't break the law. It's the most
Could
laughable.
be written in Iran.
But it's the most laughable crap you've ever read.
Yeah.
You're just like, are these people all retarded or what?
Yes, they are, right? The government cannot and should not be neutral on this question. It has it has to be a passionate advocate and, when necessary, an enforcer of the duty to integrate while protecting the proper space for diversity. Integration is not a choice, it is a necessity. So, okay, great. Armed integration by the government, force. Like, no, literally, I'm in favour.
I'm have the army on the streets.
Exactly, the army on the streets, making sure that every time the bells ring, the Muslims are forced into the pub to drink their pints of beer and complain about their wives every day. Come on, let's have it, Tony. This is. I mean, Tony Blair is literally saying this. It is not a choice; it is a necessity. Okay, why criminalize? Why criminalize the integration then? Anyway, moving on to Islam. The Blairs obviously had some experience with Islam at this point, being a Middle Eastern envoy and whatnot. And
so I blew it all up and then visited and went, hang on a minute.
Yeah, well, I didn't understand this at all. In 2014, he was like, yeah, don't worry about Ukraine. Let's side with Putin to fight radical Islam, which is a shockingly base take, actually, which I got to admit, that's quite amusing. He thinks that the West must put aside differences with Russia over Ukraine and focusing on tackling radical Islam. This is, of course, when ISIS were running around, blowing everything up.
Chechens as well.
And Chechens, yeah. Highlighting the growing danger from religious extremism and the West's apparent reluctance to fight it, he was like, yeah, top of the agenda has to be that rather than Ukraine, because screw Ukraine.
I think the existence of my own country is more important than some Eastern European country I've not really know anything about.
Yeah, basically.
That was Tony Blair's opinion, and frankly, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, he is right that in 2016 when he said, look, actually millions and millions of Muslims are fundamentally incompatible with the West, the modern world. Why'd you bring him here? Why'd you send Lord Mandelson out to Pakistan with search teams?
Because I literally knew nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And he did...
Have you seen the quotes from him? I think it's a party conference where he starts talking about his favourite quotes from the Quran.
No.
It's an amazing clip because he starts quoting the Quran and you can tell he's never picked one up.
Yeah.
It's so cringe.
But this was in the clip that was going around the other day. I should have got it for this, where he was like, it's really weird. You start and you don't know anything and everyone loves you, and then you end and you know everything and everyone hates you. And it's like, okay, that is true, but maybe if you hadn't done all those terrible things that made everyone hate you when you didn't know anything, you actually, instead of going in with an absolute conviction, I don't know anything and I'm right about everything, and you screw everything up, maybe if you'd taken a slightly more conservative view and actually, I won't meddle too much because I don't know what I'm doing, you would have not screwed everything up and learned something along the way.
There's a very weird system that democracy incentivizes.
Yeah.
Which is to know nothing until you're in office and then be like, right, I'll figure out what to do now.
Yeah, that's exactly what Tony Blair was telling us in that thing. But he rejects the argument that ISIS is simply tens of thousands of brainwashed crazies. And in fact, they represent the authentic views of millions and millions of Muslims. Anyway, let's go on to the black community. What do you think Blair thinks about the black community?
Which Blair?
Well, actually, 2007 Blair has the same opinion as 2022 Blair on this.
Yeah. Tough on the causes of crime, huh?
He actually always has been kind of racist, yeah. So this was in the wake of a wave of black-on-black murders that struck London.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know. It's time-honored tradition. A horde of 12-year-old black boys attacked a 14-year-old aspiring rapper with baseball bats and knives in an apartment, killing him.
When is this news from?
This is 2007.
But that's the point. Any time.
It's essentially the platonic news article from London in
local black rapper killed by gang.
Yeah, I mean, literally before we went on, we were literally talking about a drill rapper who got killed in a machete attack that he started. It's like, live by the machete, die by the machete. I don't know. What do you want? But, so this is terrible. And this 9 teenagers have been shot and stabbed in London and other British cities. And so people were like, oh, that's terrible, isn't it? Like, this isn't normal. This didn't happen before 1997. What happened then? What happened in 19... Something changed.
Happened.
Politicians and community leaders have two usual responses to such a crime: ignoring it or blaming poverty and racism. So nothing's changed in the last 15 years. Nothing has changed in 15 years.
Still living in Blair's world.
Yes, we are totally right. Silence is eminently safe. Well, not for the people getting macheted. Right? Changing the subject. It's for you.
Until it gets to you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like I did not speak out because I was not a communist.
I did not speak out because I wasn't being macheted. But Tony Blair bravely came out and said he has undergone what he calls, quote, a lurching into total frankness. So, and this is one of the actual good things about Tony Blair. He is prepared to be honest about the hell on earth that he has created. Okay, great. Yeah, this is awful, and I made it this way. It's brilliant. In the final weeks of his premiership, he said, he's thrown at the usual politician's playbook and spoken the truth. The violence will not end by pretending it's not young black kids doing it, he said in a lecture in Cardiff. The spate of killings isn't part of a generalised crime wave, Blair said, but the results of the behaviour of black youth. Even more astounding than his willingness to name the violent crime phenomenon that was his rejection of the acceptable explanations for it. We need to stop thinking of this as a society that has gone wrong. It has not. But if specific groups, for specific reasons, have gone outside of the proper lines of respect and good conduct towards others, and need special measures to be brought back into the fold.
Forget how terrible normies are.
Yes.
Can you read something like that?
Yes.
Ooh, he said black men are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows.
They all know.
Like, you have to deny reality to become a person that's surprised by that statement.
Yes.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.